Welcome to the Property Strategist podcast. You're here today with your boy Goke in the building. Who else we got in the building, mate?
Got your boy Akin in the building.
I need more energy, bro.
Any more? My boy Akin in the building.
There we go. How's it going?
Yeah, it's alright, man. It's good.
How you been? You're looking like you've had a long week, mate.
I always do, don't I, mate?
Yeah, you do.
No. It's been alright, man. It's been a busy week. Loads of things happening. Yeah. I did a talk in it on Monday with a school.
Oh yes.
For the workshop that we said we were gonna do, and
Yes.
then
How did that go, by the way?
No, really good, man. Really good. It was a school in Dagenham. There was the sixth form students that we spoke to specifically around investing and property and things like that. But these guys were switched on, man. They were switched on.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Asking you about what's the 5%?
Hey, they asked about tax and this and
wow.
benefits and all the different strategies.
Yeah.
They were getting in. So I was like,
What age range was it?
It was like 16 to 18.
Oh, okay. Fair
16
enough.
to 18. So
college students, isn't it?
college students, yeah. And it was two sets of them.
Okay.
So yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I think a lot has changed since back in the day.
100%.
With me, 16 to 18, I wasn't thinking about property.
This is what it
at
is.
all. Even at uni, I wasn't thinking about property.
100%. No, facts.
Yeah,
it's true.
I didn't start thinking until after uni. So
It's true.
Do you think the narratives have kind of changed a little bit? People
No, 100%. I think what they're noticing, the schools are struggling because the curriculum doesn't touch on investing and things like that. And to be honest, I don't think it should necessarily should. I think when you get to like the age of 16, like college, sixth form, maybe that's when you start introducing it.
Yeah.
But it's also good to get third party people to come in because it's always changing that world, innit? So it was just really fun. And but obviously it kind of threw the week because it was a big presentation, it was a big day.
Okay.
So then now playing catch up with all the other tasks.
else.
Yeah. So I even got another one tomorrow. There's another one in Birms.
Oh, you're active. Birmingham, you go Birmingham tomorrow?
Yeah, brother.
Active.
So good to Furs as well.
Yes, yeah.
No, for
I'll
real.
have a look at that.
Yeah.
What's going on
Get
there?
a catch up there, yeah. But how you been? How's your weekend?
Yeah, busy, man. It's been busy again as usual. I was in Birmingham this week again. Yesterday actually. Just to kind of I had a meet with the bank yesterday. So one of the bridging company that we work with, Signature Finance, they came on site, see the progress on some of the projects, took them to a few projects, met one of their QS manager that kind of signs off all the loans and stuff like that. So which was good. They met like the build team as well, which is important because at the end of the day, these are the people you want to kind of relationship is key.
100%. You do a lot of that as well. You do the meetings and the with these CEOs
I've learned along the way.
Build a relationship.
You know the saying is who you know. Blah blah.
Mate, I've even got a story for that one as well. Yeah, because even with obviously we obviously got the flat in Elephant Castle. Yeah. We had to do some stuff with the local council, so we had to get stuff passed through basically. And then it was struggling to go through. Basically, building control had to basically sign off on some work. And then literally had to get a contact. Shouts to contact. I don't know if I'm allowed to expose the contact, but Josh K in it. But the contact in the council that we have, and you don't realize how connected all the councils are. So I was able to really, get that fast tracked. It wasn't just that. It was a couple of different things that got fast tracked. Like really, I'm talking like on the day. That's how quickly it was, and I was like, pick up the call, boom, and now that person is now obviously a contact for life and stuff, and I'm like, this is how they move the needle, you know what I'm trying to say. So even with some of the stuff,
he works in the council, or what's his story?
So Josh works in the council in our borough, which we grew up in, which is Greenwich, and then but councilman, so he runs it there, and then but obviously they're all linked, so he then reached out to someone in Southwark. For that property, and then was able to fast track, or we had to get fast track. But it's just the fact that everyone's so connected and can move. And I'm talking like one phone call, boom, like what's that guy from Power? What was it
Ghost?
Tate? Councilman Tate. Councilman Tate vibes. It was just like get it done. I was like, okay, so this is how the mafia works.
It's more man.
So
and like I said, with property, it's just the more contacts you have, the more
better,
you can get better rates, the more people can be flexible with your situation.
Exactly.
Because some of the stuff we do is never like straightforward.
It's never straightforward, man.
Your NatWest and your HSBC might not hear it, so you need somebody who kind of understands the vision
100%.
and the quirkiness of whatever the deal is as well.
100%.
Yeah, man, I think that's key, man. So, but
it ties into everything we're talking about today, isn't it? Because obviously, part of the conversation today is like us thinking ahead and thinking about, okay, what are the solutions that we could, provide now in terms of services for our business? The traditional, way of looking at things isn't necessarily working. In a lot of different ways. We can talk about that a little bit, but
I hear you, because I think me and you had a conversation, was it late last year, early this year, and obviously everyone's talking about interest rates, and interest rates have gone up, and deals aren't stacking. Some of my like single lets that are making like £700, £800 profit from monthly. Interest rates have gone up times 3. My mortgage times 3 now. You know what I'm saying? And it's now is not making sense. / is, you know, it's so I'm like, okay, how can we future proof like this? How can we get more money in, and how can we make sure there's no like tenant turnover?
Yes.
Like how can we?
Yes.
Who can we work with that we can kind of guarantee our rents
100%.
going forward, kind of thing.
100%.
So I think we've had to kind of flex a little bit.
100%.
Into that. So
yeah, man, and that goes into the conversation today. Obviously, we're talking about social housing and supported living, and you know how we start working with them.
Yeah, because that. It's like I hear everyone's talking about social housing, supported living. I'm seeing online now there's ads about social housing, supported living. I'm seeing people sourcing for social housing, supported living. I'm like, it's a proper fad now, isn't it? And I think where it kind of stems from is with supported living and social housing. I think people have seen we're going to talk about what exactly it is in a second, but I think people have kind of seen how it's government backed.
Yes, very key.
Yeah, and the government are paying these people to provide a service. Some people go into it with the best of intentions, that they want to help, blah, blah, blah. Some people are seeing the pound signs and they're like, I want to get into this business rather than, okay, I want to give back. Yes, you're going to make money from it, but I want to give back kind of thing. So, but before we get into all of that, I think we're going to talk about what supported living is, and we're going to talk about what social housing is. So supported living is literally, let's say you had a property and you're housing people with maybe learning disabilities, mental health, and any sort of, you know, issues they might have physically or mentally, right? And you've got a company that comes in, those are the people housing them. The company will provide a service. So it might be like a 24-hour service whereby they care for them 24/7, or it might be a case of floating support whereby they just come in like ad hoc, that they come in and then. But I think the main thing about supported living is just it's a way whereby, from property investor perspective, we're going to talk about that in a second. But what the service is you've got a property, you've got people living in that property, and you've got a supported living company providing a service to look after them there. Where it kind of gets exciting a little bit is the council are paying for it. So they're paying for those people to provide care for those people. Sometimes you can get something where they call 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, right? 2-to-1 will mean you got 2 staffs on one person. 3-to-1, you got 3 staff on one person. So obviously the more staff you have, the more money, I guess, they pay for that service, because you're going to need staff to look after that client or whatnot. So I guess because obviously I'm very close to supported living, so I know how intense it is. A lot of people would just hear, "Oh, right, you get £2,000, £4,000 a week, like for that." But there's headache that comes with it.
And there's one horror story that you told me about. You need to share that one. That one.
Because everyone thinks it's all like it's all roses. But like I said, that horror story we spoke about. There was a client that we had. They had I think 3-to-1 care at the time. And again, we didn't really look at that clientele. That client group.
I remember that was a one-off.
Yeah, it was a one-off. But they were desperate. They needed help.
And the money was
good.
Yeah, no, money was good.
Money was good. So I was like, hey, we'll have to get involved. But obviously, common sense would say if 3 people are looking after one person. What's
24 hours care?
24 hours. I'm looking at you in the face. You're sleeping there. There's 3 men watching you. You're thinking
big guys as well.
Big guys are men.
Big as well.
So you're thinking, what's the worst that can happen? Like when I say this guy trashed the yard, this was a new development that we've done as well. So it was like a office converted to 5 flats. When I say he trashed the yard, windows broken, the plaster. I remember his own pull plaster off the room. Like, it was madness. Like, the pictures and videos afterwards, like,
crazy.
Do you know what I'm saying? But again, he obviously had a high level of care.
Yeah.
That's why there was three people to one. But the point I'm trying to make is like, it sounds all great, and trust me, there's pros and cons which we'll go into. But I think before people kind of get into it, it's just important to kind of understand the risk.
100%.
But we'll talk about from a property perspective how we tend to get involved in that. But I guess we spoke about supported living, social housing. If you can just share
I think social housing is quite a simple one. I mean, it's literally usually these are organizations, sometimes local government, that provide and own properties, and they provide affordable housing for tenants, basically. So especially this is quite common in low income areas, like up north, in places where people haven't got crazy crazy income, and they're offering basically subsidized rent for people with lower incomes, essentially to move in and rent.
Got you. So could this also be like, I don't know, women seeking refuge and
exactly. So all that kind of stuff. It comes under all those criteria, like it could be refugees, it could be homeless, it could be elderly. It covers quite a lot of different kind of scope, but. Main thing is just that it's affordable housing for those that can't afford it. So if someone is homeless now and they can't find someone to live, they'll typically apply for social housing. They'll put on a list, and then once this comes available, then they'll get a shout and they can move in.
So that's social housing in a nutshell. And I'm sure a lot of people have been kind of hearing about it, and a lot of people talking about it.
100%.
That's it in a nutshell. Now, from our perspective as property investors, we're like, how can we tap into it? How can we get involved? How can we utilize it to kind of secure our portfolio? How can we use it to kind of make more money in what we do? So, so we kind of had to, I was going to say get creative, but we kind of...
It just fell into it.
Exactly.
Let's be honest. We fell into it.
Literally just fell into it.
I did obviously talk about the main company we started with, who kind of opened the door and opened our eyes to it. But it was more something that we fell into as opposed to like it was anything creative. So I guess the way we kind of worked initially, we started working with a supported living company, and literally all we just did was, at the time we was working with landlords who we were kind of using, finding a property for them, refurbishing the property and turning it into like HMO rooms, right? And at the end of it, we would just literally rent out the rooms for them as per, manage it for them, blah blah blah. And then we had this supported living company I'm talking about now, they wanted a house. And then we was like, we just finished refurbishing the house. We'll kind of speak to the landlord to see if we can take it on. Literally, it was a 4-bed house. They had 2 clients I was ready to move in. I think they were getting quite a high rent for the clients. So they were more than happy to pay above and beyond for the rent kind of thing. So that rent was going to the landlord. Obviously, we saw that and it was like, okay, cool. A, you're paying more than market rate for the rent to this landlord. B, this is supported living, by the way, not social housing, because I mean social housing is a little bit different. Because they don't get enough money, so I don't think that you can get that much rent. No. But so they were literally like, we was like, okay, cool, you can get quite a lot of rent from these people. Yeah. It's guaranteed because they take care of the maintenance. Yep. Normally, these companies will have like a maintenance team, a handyman, and everything like that. Yep. So we was like, okay, cool. It kind of makes sense. It's guaranteed rent. They take care of the maintenance. Why don't we just kind of tap into that and work with these supported living companies, copy and paste, especially when the lease sometimes is like 5 years. Bro, guaranteed rent for 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
And
guaranteed
zero
rent.
voids.
Zero voids. They don't really call you. Like, obviously, depending on what kind of contract you have with them, you can maybe be in charge of like minor. Well, they'll be in charge of minor repairs. You might have to do major repairs. Major repairs will be like stuff like the roof came off. Yeah, the boiler's broken. Big boiler. But again, with that, maybe get a boiler insurance. You get insurances. Mitigate that. So we saw all of that and was like, okay, cool. It actually makes sense to work with these people. Yeah. And the moment we kind of made that decision to say, okay, look, let's start marketing whatever units we're refurbishing at the time to supported living companies, it kind of opened the whole
100%. Yeah, 100%. I think now obviously we work with them in loads of different capacities. But I think when we realize that you can actually source for them, like we can actually find, and they're willing to actually pay like good money for, because the thing is that they struggle with, you got to remember, a lot of these supported living companies, they just, like you said before, what they do is focus on the clients, like, looking after clients, making sure that they're keeping the clients safe, they're supporting them, providing that service. They're not property people. So when it comes to finding more units or finding ideal units or, working with, councils, or they just kind of focus on
that bit.
They didn't focus on the property bit. So we saw that there was kind of like a gap there, and that's how I was able to kind of start working with them regularly.
To talk on that a little bit as well more, because obviously with you do a lot of sourcing for different cohorts of people. How do you find that switch? How do you even get the clients that were desperate, that was looking for this?
So I think one, obviously I can't give away all the tricks and trades, you know what I'm saying? But I think obviously, as you mentioned, the first supported living company that we worked with, we saw how rapidly they grew. So that was the first like, thing that I looked at and go, wow, this is kind of good. Like, we're working with companies that are growing quickly. So they're at high growth stages in their business. Meaning, the thing about investors, typical investors, is like they come in and then it's like, they need a deal now. They might not need a deal for another 6 to 9 months or a year or 2, 3 years.
They got their one for the year.
Yeah, that's what I say. But with supported living companies, they might come back, depending on where they are in the growth stage. They might come back in 2 weeks or in 1 month or in 3 months, or it could be every week. There's some clients that we have now, they're literally looking every single week. They're looking for a deal. So it's like, oh, okay, if we're doing 2 to 3K per deal, 2 to 4K per deal with a supported living company, if they're doing 10 deals in a year, for example, that's going to be 20, 30K.
Okay.
So you don't need many of them, that are at that stage, in order to get to a significant place, and the income is really good, so they can afford to pay us good amount,
for the rent.
So
even sourcing fee,
for sourcing fee and rent and everything else, because we have to obviously see what they're making in order for them to pass references and checks. So they may be on 6-7 figures, and then it's like, and that's a regular thing for them. Like, it's not really like a mad thing for them. It only takes them maybe like, usually I think it's like 6 to 8 houses, and they're kind of hitting like close to 7 figures. Wow. So it's very lucrative business. So
no, it is
100%.
Would you say like, because would you say there's more demand for property than there's supply available for these supported living company? Like, are they desperate basically? Like, is it still like a
depends? So if we're talking about the social housing side, I feel like they're more open to every and any kind of property.
So there's more options for them.
More options for them. The only downside for an investor type of investor side is that they're not really willing to pay like above market rate. Okay. So let's just say, for example, it's £1,000 for rent for a 3-bed in Birmingham or something. A social housing group might say, we could
£990.
they'll say, not even that. They'll probably say like £800.
Oh, really?
£850. Yeah, they'll say, we'll take it straight away, but we can't pay deposit, and
we can't pay deposit.
We can't pay deposit, and we can only So that's the downside. Just I say,
because for me straight away with social housing, obviously there's a bit of stigma, and
of course,
who you put in my property, they're going to damage my property, blah blah. And now you're telling me there's no deposit. Like, how? I don't know if you know the answer to this, but how do they protect? If I'm a landlord, I'm saying I'll give my property, but you're telling me we don't take no deposit, or we're not going to pay deposit. How do I know my property is going to be back? I think that's the kind of dilemma. And that's why how I see it in the market right now is that you either can get obviously the traditional tenant who's going to pay you, a deposit up front, but they're going to have, it's a cost of living, you know what I mean? So they might be faced with losing their job or, struggling with rent or whatever, stuff like that. So you got those kind of tenants. Then you got supported living tenants who pay you on time. They've got a lot of money. They can pay you a bit more than market rate. They're making good money as a business, but obviously not every property is going to be suitable for them. They're quite rare to find a property that makes sense for them. Okay. Yeah, because they don't go for every type of property. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then social housing, the advantage is they take on everything. Yeah. They're ready to go tomorrow. Ooh. So if I had like a bad tenant and then my house is,
let's say your house is going to be empty for 6 months, and the condition of it is not the best. Yes. Like, you can't do like a massive refurb. You can't afford it or whatever. You can't afford it or whatever. You might say, just to have some people paying some rent and covering the mortgage, then I'm sticking a social housing tenant. That's how I think people are looking at it. Yeah. I'm not saying that's how you should look at it. That's how people are looking at it.
But I guess there's probably like contracts in place as well.
100%. Yeah. It's still contracts. Everything's still above board. Like, you still have to wait, sign contracts. Cool. Everything like that. It's just that they usually work with the most desperate of desperate landlords. Usually, that's because that's their kind of
So I guess do they take care of maintenance though?
In most cases, they'll still take care of maintenance, minor maintenance. They kind of see them almost like a rent to renter, isn't it? Like they come in, they'll rent the property, and just kind of the minor works they'll take care of itself. But anything major, they will contact you as a landlord and say, can you sort out still? Cool. So yeah.
So you do a lot of, okay, cool. So I guess from that, it was a case of, okay, there's a gap in the market.
Yep.
Can we source for these people? Yeah. You started sourcing for a few of them, and it's like, you've seen that look.
Yeah. No, so literally there was like, it started off just with sourcing for that company first. And then after that, I was like, okay, let's actively look for others. Like, you know, let's see where to find them. So I think, you know, it was just more going on social media, different platforms, trying to just see them, council websites as well, and just seeing like which ones there are out there. Then reaching out and saying, "Oh, are you looking for properties?" And then for not everyone, like they're not all looking for properties all the time in every area. Yeah. But there was particular areas. I would say that we found like a good like 10 to 15 by just calling around and building up a list that they were like, you know, you're looking for what kind of property, this kind of property. And then from when I figured that a bit out, we just replicated it basically, and just once we found them a few deals, then they'll refer you. Then basically everyone else in that city will start messaging you saying, "Oh, like
So, you're saying they're a little bit more picky when it comes to like
definitely more picky, bro. Like I mean picky, like very picky. Like it's not like you can just grab a
support living.
Yeah, you can't just grab any property and say, "Do you understand?" Like it needs to fit like
their criteria,
and obviously it's based on their clients. You know, for example, if you've got someone that's elderly, and you know they're in a wheelchair.
It might be a bungalow or something.
It might be a bungalow because they need access, ground floor access. So like a 3-bedroom house won't be suitable for them, stuff like that. Sometimes they need to be in a secluded area because they're dealing with a high,
that's true.
High demand, client. So they might be screaming and running outside the house. Yeah. So if you got in a really residential area, it won't really work. So they need something more like suburban. But
detached away from everything.
Stuff like that. So just about understanding their criteria, and it's just a service, isn't it? Like it's just like figuring out, okay, what do you need, and how can we consistently. So obviously that's part of the process as well, trying to find consistent deals with them. So
and just to double down, like we were saying earlier, the reason we kind of went down the support living, work on support living and social housing company is just because of the certainty.
Yes,
interest rates have gone up. I need to know how much I'm going to be making monthly for the next X amount of years. We just thought to ourselves it would make sense to kind of like twist it a little bit when it comes to portfolio, just tweak it a little bit and see what we can kind of give to these kind of companies as well.
Exactly. And it works for other things as well. Obviously, development wise, we'll probably touch on that as well.
Yeah,
but like when it comes to, I think it's the consistency for us. Like we want to, for our services, number one for management and sourcing, we want to make sure that we've got consistent income from that side. Yeah. And then in terms of like, even our buy-to-let landlords that we're working with as well. Yeah. Being able to offer them that opportunity now as well. So recently what we're doing a lot of is sourcing already tenanted properties is a big thing for us as well now. So it's like we'll get a house that we know there's a few support living companies interested in already, ready to take it. We'll get someone to purchase it and we'll then offer them the rental price that the support living company is willing to offer, which is obviously above market rate. It's obviously it's government backed and it's long term. So now it's like, oh wow, like now I've got this property for 5 years, bringing me more income than it's almost like a single let that's bringing me HMO kind of money. And then
HMO kind of profits.
And then you're doing something social, like you're actually helping a person, out. Like
it's not just money.
It's not just money. Like you're building a relationship with that support living company. So at any point when they say, look, I'm looking to invest again, then there's a conversation to be had.
You've got the funds to purchase again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what would you say to, like, let's say people are listening, like, I've got this house, I've got a tenant in there, but what you're talking about sounds good because I got a nightmare tenant. Like, what would you?
Obviously, like you said, like it doesn't work for every kind of property. So it would be more like, get in touch. Send us like the details of your property, like where it's located, what type of property is it? Is it a 2 or 3 bed? Yeah. For example, as you mentioned, like ideally it would be like a 3+ bed. Depending on the area, it would be ideally that it's like secluded and it's like maybe like semi-detached, maybe. Yeah. Obviously, I don't go to all of it, but like there'll be a certain criteria in it. So once you get in touch, we'll be like, okay, we'll assess it. It won't take us long. It literally takes us like 48 hours max to know if people would be interested and to arrange viewings as well. Cool. So within 48 hours, we'll probably have like, if it's good, if it makes sense, then 2-3 people or 2-3 companies ready to view it, take it on. At least view it, and then if they're interested at that point, usually it's like 60% chance they'll take it on. So if they come through, they'll assess it, and if they like it, then they'll take it on. Yeah.
So just so people can understand like the demand of what we're talking about today, do you know roughly how many support living companies you kind of work with?
Us? Yeah. At this point, maybe like I would say at least I don't know the exact number, but I know it's definitely between 40 to 50. I'll say. Cool. Yeah. On a regular basis. I would say at least they're purchasing deals every like 3 months, but the really high ones, there's probably like 3 to 5 really like proper ones. These are like taking on deals like
Regularly.
every month at least. Yeah, every month.
Okay.
So it might be a small deal. It might be like a 1-bedroom flat somewhere, or it could be a block of flats, which is again another thing that people are interested in as a buy-to-let investors. Like if we can say, look, you can get this HMO or this block of units, and we can fill in with supported living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These might be in random areas. This is where it comes in. This is where it makes a lot of sense. If you're gonna invest in like, I'm not trying to downplay any areas as well, but let's say it's like a Durham or something.
You the Durham massive comfy.
Yeah, fair man in Durham gonna come from like, but like a Sheffield or something like.
Yeah.
Areas where you might not typically look as a buy-to-let investor because your returns are not gonna make sense.
Yeah.
Now you can invest in like a block of flats for like what you could invest in a normal single let in Birmingham. Let's say like 150, but you're gonna get the income like of something that like a block of flats in Birmingham that you would have paid like double for. Do you know what I mean? So you're getting crazy rental yield basically. Like you're getting crazy rental yield. So and there's demand of both. Remember these empty blocks that no one can buy or can afford, or their landlord is willing to sell because cost of living is killing them. And then you're coming in with solutions. So I think right now being a social landlord, that's what they're calling it. I don't know if I just made it up, but they're calling it a social landlord now. 2024. That's like the new thing now.
No, it is. Everyone's
because you're doing something good. You're doing something good, and you're making money. Like it makes sense.
For real. And so like I said, and then again, walking you guys through the timeline, we found a company to work with initially. Then we realized that okay, this is really making sense. Started looking at who else we can source for, and then we kind of started looking at it from a development perspective.
100%,
so it was
100%.
Like, okay, cool. We do developments anyway, so we do new builds, commercial to residential conversions. So we're like,
where did penny drop for you? That when you,
I think for me, where it stuck with me was when we done a commercial to resi, and we would have, I think this was the Homes and Hammer one,
yeah.
We would have been getting, like, I think the rent per flat would have been like something like 800 per flat, right? Some flat would have even got maybe 750.
Yeah.
But we had a company who took the whole 4 flat for $4,000. Yeah. And I'm like, so I would have been getting 3.2 or 3.1 or something. And then someone's ready to pay more than
long term, no voids.
Yeah, so that's what I'm like. Long term, no voids. Like they take a maintenance. So I'm like, what am I doing?
And they're excited to take it on as well.
Yeah,
whereas the other ones are, this thing is wrong. This is wrong. These lot are like, please, mate.
Exactly. And I think another thing I tapped into as well was because I have a conversation with the supported living companies, right? And I know what's going on in the background, like the narrative that they're pushing right now. But again, it doesn't still mean single lets they're not interested in it.
Still work.
But the narrative they're pushing is they're saying like they want their clients to have their own front door, so they're very interested in like blocks of flats and stuff like that. They're so interested in like 3-bed, 2-bed, whatever. But some
it's changing all the time.
They're interested in blocks of flats, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like this is what we do.
Exactly.
So what's the point of doing refurb and then renting out in the general market or selling or whatever, whereby you can have someone who's going to take it on long term? And then that's when I think I clocked. I was like, okay, cool. This is not all we're focused on, but
just an
this
angle.
is like where it makes sense, where the area makes sense, where the supported living companies are willing to take the property. Then why not? Do you know what I'm saying? So it makes a lot of sense. Like my business partner is doing one in Sutton at the moment. It doesn't really make sense to rent it out to supported living because it's a nice area, Sutton Coldfield. It's a nice area. And
it's more like residential, and
you're gonna have people who's gonna take it anyway. So it's like
there's no need.
There's no need. So you just have to kind of weigh up. Are you struggling? Do you want more money, or is it a case of you want more consistency? If that's the case, then it would kind of make sense. So that's when the penny kind of dropped for me, and it's like.
And then obviously you had the one in Cannock as well.
Yes,
same thing with that. Same thing again. And again, like. That project was really good, like, and we could have rented it easily to residential, but then like the fact that you can just again like the same company happy to pay a bit more, like it's just mad straightforward. And like from the point of completing the works to getting them in, what was the timeline for that one again?
So completing the works, I think we complete, bro. These people, the work's not even done, and they're saying they have clients. Do you know what it is as well with them? It's reputation. So the council is hollering at them saying
they don't want to say no.
They don't want to say no. They don't like saying no. So they're saying
because they know once you say no.
Once you say no, once you say yes though, you're in there with the council or with social worker or whoever gets you the referral, right? So it's a case of literally that one was done in May. They had someone in there in May. Literally the same month. They were knocking on our door like, can we get the keys? Can we get the keys?
Side note, it's funny because again, this is relevant, but not relevant. But it's like a lot of these companies, obviously, from they can be from African, Caribbean backgrounds as well, and it's quite interesting because obviously, growing up, both our mums were nurses as
yeah.
well. Funny, same names and everything. But anyway, that's not a conversation. But in the office, innit, they used to call them the same name apparently. But anyway, cool. It's quite fascinating that for them, those that were just nurses and just working normal jobs and didn't think that anything would come from this, are now pivoted into if I take on this house as a rent to rent or as a purchase, then because the fact that I'm already connected to the to the NHS and council, I'm able to tap into this whole other market. That will mean that if I take on maybe if it's just even my own house and I put people in there. I can make a lot of money, more than I made as a nurse, a lot more. So it's like, it's quite interesting that a lot of the clients, I'd say 60-70% of the clients are like Afro,
like supported living.
Afro, and that's another, something, but because they it's like family to them. It's like you work with them. It can be very in what's it called? Informal.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes that's not good. But anyway, that's another conversation.
I can please
just allow me. Please now.
Yeah, okay.
So, but it feels even better. Yeah. It feels even better to help them because it's like.
Oh yeah, it's cool. It's true.
It's like you're helping your auntie, your uncle, whatever, start your business. So that's a side note. But development wise,
Yeah. So like I said, development wise, it kind of makes sense to go down that route. As and when it kind of makes sense. Yeah, just give it to this company. But I think, again, it's just very important as well to understand for certain people might be listening thinking, so we're living, I want to get into it. But that's not all there is to it. Yeah. From a landlord's perspective, from us, if you own a property, it's quite straightforward.
Yes,
you just give the support living the company the property, they crack on, you guarantee your rent for the next 3 to 5 years. But you might be saying, no, I don't even want to. I want to have the property and also provide the service. It's not that simple. It's not that straightforward. There's a process to it, and a lot of people are going.
And it's getting harder now.
It's getting harder. I'll tell you why it's getting harder. A lot of people are going into it with thoughts of, it's good money. They pay a lot. Because some of these clients you can get for one client. You can get about 30 to 40 grand in a month for one client, right?
I've even heard in a week.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
However, it's not just that. Obviously, you still got to cover staffing.
Exactly.
Obviously, you got to pay for rent.
Exactly.
It's like
and there's regulations now as well.
Regulations. It's like the risk is very high.
But I think what's good with it is that the good part of it as developers is that you feel like you're working with the flow. With regards to building control or planning or even with raising funds or working with local. Everyone seems to be on board with projects. Even with First Street, for example, you can touch on this as well, but. They came. I remember the first time we had them, someone from the council around or the surveyors, and they came around. They were really excited. You guys are doing this specifically for that's really good. And they looked like they wanted to push things forward. Whereas if you're just doing another development for build some more flats somewhere, it's a sort of like
it's true because the council is trying to push all this on affordable housing, affordable housing and all this kind of stuff, and we're helping out. And like I said, for us, it's like. Yeah, it makes sense because you're able to help out as well as obviously still run your business because your business is not a charity.
100%.
What some of these companies might do might be charities, but your business is not a charity. Exactly. So you just need to find the middle ground to kind of make sure it's kind of making sense. So so like I said, we're kind of working with a few of the companies now.
How are we structuring deals?
So again, we do the development, so there's different ways we can kind of do it. I think we'll probably get into it in the next segment.
Okay.
In a second, just kind of let you know what other ways you can work with them, how we currently work with them. Okay. But I think we'll just take a quick break.
Yep.
And then we'll jump back in again.
All right,
peace.
Nice.
Yeah, so welcome back, guys. Property Strategist podcast. So again, today we're talking about social housing, supported living, how everyone's talking about it now. It's a big thing. People talking about it, you make money from it, blah, blah, blah. But from our perspective as landlords and property developers and investors, we're like, how can we tap into it? So we kind of let you know in the first part on how you can tap into it. Now we're going to talk about how we kind of structure some of the deals we do with these supported living companies. So initially, like we mentioned, sometimes we just literally do a development and give it over to them and lease it to them long term. That's option one. Because for us, it's like, it makes sense because we guarantee our rent for a few years, so why not? Another way we can potentially structure it is whereby you joint venture with supported living company. You literally say, okay, I've got X amount, you obviously got X amount. I'm going to use my sweat equity, my knowledge in the game. I'm going to bring the property to you. I'm going to project manage the whole thing. And then we're going to split. At the end of it, we're just say we're going to either, there's option one, we can either sell it back to you. Option two, what we'll just do, we'll just split the profit. And then again, there's a way we can kind of tap into what profit they'll be making as well in the supported living company. So that one sometimes a little bit hard to swing because again with supported living company they want to separate the two kind of things. So it's like you do your thing and I do your thing. You do I do our thing. So but again it's a conversation we've had and deals we've kind of struck with them whereby let's buy together and then we'll just take I'm gonna say throw out 20% of your profits that you make. But I brought the deal to you. I project managed the deal all the way, and I got you out of that. If we have to refinance or get a lender,
and just to get into that, why they would be interested in that is because, like I said before, they're not property people.
Yeah.
So when it comes to project managing and development, sourcing a deal, because this could be like you're sourcing land for planning permission for 12 flats, whatever.
Exactly.
They're not part of that world. They don't have a clue of that works.
As property developers and investors, we just kind of use our knowledge to kind of merge the two. Exactly. Another way we can protect your work with them is just an end-to-end service. So find a property for them, we get paid for sourcing. Project manage a property for them, we get paid for project management. That's normally 10 to 20%, depending on what it is. And then at the end of it, you kind of offer other services whereby you can kind of help them with refinancing, referrals to like your brokers, solicitors and stuff like that. So there's definitely different ways you can kind of work with supported living company to kind of make money from them basically.
100%.
I'm going to talk about, we can probably
talk about social landlords as well on that.
Again,
I think that's an important bit as well because that's quite new. With supported living companies now, what's happening, what they've introduced now, you can touch a bit more because you know a bit more about it, but they're introducing now this thing called like social landlords. So between the supported living company and the landlord or the person that owns the property, they want like that middle company there to oversee what's going on.
So I think what Aki's talking about is now what we're finding is a lot of people supported living company are rushing into supported living and saying we're gonna either own the property or we're leasing the property and we're also going to provide a service, but council is saying we don't really like the fact that you are the person that's owning or leasing the property and you also are the person that's providing the service. What they want is a separation from the two, and the reason they want that is I'll tell you why. They're protecting the clients in there. So they want Akin, for instance, to be the social landlord, so you're the one that has the lease agreement, right? And the supported living company are just providing support. That's what they're doing, separation. Reason they want that is, let's say the supported living company is rubbish, they want to be able to say, take the supported living company, take them out and just replace it with another supported living company while the social landlord is still in place and their client's not getting kicked out. So again, there's like but to be able to be that, you need to be a social landlord, something called a registered provider. So again, you can probably get enhanced rent as well when you're in that situation. And for supported living company it helps because they can have their rent paid for, the rent will pay for what they pay the landlord, basically. So so again, that's another thing they're doing. So it's just important to kind of be clued up on the structures because like I was saying earlier, a lot of people are listening and thinking supported living, but you need to understand how it works because you can kind of get burnt as well. 100%. Yes, there's money to be made in there, but you can definitely get burnt as well. 100%. So, but before we go into, how people can get involved or, how we can help people, I think it's important to note, I think we probably touched on it, but pros and cons of working with supported living company. Obviously we spoke about the pros already that, you can guarantee your end and, make it a little bit more.
From a sourcing point of view or just in general?
Just in general, pros and cons. I mean, one con I would say is,
I got one big con, boy.
Okay, you might as well dive straight
boy, there's one big one. But like I said, it can be very informal. So because they're very informal, they're not necessarily very professional. These guys could just be again.
So the people some of the people you work
with. Some of the support living companies we work with, they're just they could just, especially if they're new to the game, they're newbies. It's like, oh, I've seen a property, I want to take it on. You know what I'm trying to say? There's no, they might not have a business email address, for example. They may not have the company fully set up and stuff like that yet. So you're having to coach them into doing things.
Do your due diligence as well.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like teach them. And then obviously even when it comes to, payment, when it comes to, we've got how many have we got in invoices in closing? You know what I mean? It's double figures. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like sometimes pushing the deals through and getting them to understand that there's processes to how we work here. And we also represent the landlord. So for example, when people are approaching us, supported living companies, and saying they want to take on a property. If you don't move correct with us, we will alert the landlord. You know what I'm trying to say?
Like,
I have to tell him. Because
him.
especially, for example, I'm working with you as a landlord, and you're saying, like, I want to support a living company in my property. I say, cool, I've got 3 here. One was moving correct. The other one was moving a bit slow. The other one has even responded to me in 3 days. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that back information back to you and say, look, out of the 3, this is what I'm seeing. Obviously, there's websites online and CQC. You can test. You can check how well they have operated as a support living company before. And that's important. But they could sometimes they move unprofessional. Sorry.
Got you. And I guess looking into like working with support living company period as a landlord, because again, some people might be listening thinking, I've got my property, I want to give it to them, but I'm not sure. Another thing, obviously, you kind of touched on it, is it's important to do your due diligence on these companies.
Yes,
like
100%.
We only kind of work with like new companies because there is a lot of like, I've just started, I need my first house, you need to give me the first opportunities, which we have done, but it's almost like, okay, can we get rent up front, 3 months rent up front? There was one I had today, literally, trying to rent a 3-bed from us, and they were happy to pay.
Birmingham one.
Yeah, Birmingham one, happy to pay 3 months up front. Yeah. But I'm checking, I'm like, you're new to this. Like, send a bank statement, I'm like, okay, there's money, but it's not really money. So I'm like, okay, can we have maybe 6 months rent up front? Can we also have a guarantor?
Yes.
Like, can we guarantor, have a guarantor on one of your landlords? Directors, and he needs to be a homeowner, obviously. What does he earn? Like, are you full time in this, or do you have another job? How much do you get paid in your other job? So again, I think before you give your property to like a supported living company, just make sure you do your due diligence to make sure they know exactly what they're doing. Because think about it as well, their success is your success.
100%.
So you need to make sure these companies, A, know what they're doing. B, they're going to stand the test of time, because like I said, it's a fad. Everyone's doing it like now, do you know what I'm saying? But not everyone's going to make it there. No one's going to get the referrals and get the clients and all that stuff. So again, I think that due diligence is important. When you're working with companies that are established, obviously out for the 2 years SA 302, or just see their accounts. Like, what have you been doing? Are you growing? Like you said, some of them grow rapidly, and get references from our landlords as well.
That's key, bro. Like, is there any? I remember there was a time actually we were sourcing for a supported living company. He actually had like 7 properties, and this was quite early on in us sourcing like regularly for them. And I remember the landlord was asking for testimonials from the properties that he's had previously. So then when we started digging into it, like, he had 7, but when we looked on the CQC register, he was on like red. Like it was like CQC is almost like a Ofsted for schools. It's like it's gonna say, are you outstanding? Are you great? It's basically saying that he's below average, innit? And then he visited one of the properties, the landlord, and then he was just like, this is not great.
Oh, he visited one of the properties.
He went that far to actually go and visit.
And that's kind of blame him.
And obviously we were like, we love it when they do that. Like, go do all the due diligence you want, because once they are happy, they're gonna pay. But then when he did that, he said, "Nah, I'm not on it." And then just make sure you do your DD.
But like I said, just to kind of wrap it up, because I know time's going. One of the important, I'm gonna hand it over to you in a second. But obviously, we help a lot of people when it comes to like support, finding the right client. So in terms of so I guess you would help them with due diligence and stuff.
In terms of people that want to get involved, obviously there's different ways you can get involved. As a landlord, which would be the biggest one, is if you've got a property there and you're like, I really want to explore this supported living angle, and you want to see how that works, then get in touch. Obviously you'd send your property through. I would float it around to a few supported living companies. They would let me know if they're interested. If they are, we'll get them in for a viewing. If they like it, they'll start placing offers, and then we'll do our DD. So we'll do our research into all of those companies. We'll look into their accounts, how much they've made, how much they're making. What's their rating on CQC? If they've got any testimonials from other landlords, type of tenants they take on, and all the rest of it basically. And then we'll provide that information back to the landlord, and then let them make a final decision.
That kind of
thing. There's so much opportunity, and like I said, you're doing a good thing and you're making money. It's like a no-brainer. And if your property is the right kind of fit, then I would suggest it.
And I guess we've got into a point whereby we work well with these supported living companies, and you almost know what they want from the back. So if you're back to invest in property or do developments like we do, because like what the kind of thing we do now is we'll speak to these supported living companies. We kind of know the spec. Okay, you want a one bed? Okay, 7 1-beds. Okay, we can get you that. Okay, how big do you want it to be? Okay, cool. Obviously, we're still making sure once this relationship is done, we can still rent it out to the general public anyway.
100%.
However,
B,
but this is a guide because then we know from the get-go, we can either sell it to them at the end or rent it to them at the end.
Just another option.
So yes, again, that's what we commonly do.
100%.
And if anyone wants a JV or wants to kind of look into that and see how potentially we can work together on that as well. We can do a lot of that as well.
100%.
Is there anything else?
It's recession-proof. I mean, that word probably floating around a lot.
Yeah.
But it's recession-proof. Yeah. But it's true though. It's like you're kind of building, you're utilizing the property in a way that is kind of recession-proof.
Yeah, I guess the reason they say that is recession-proof or whatever is because the council is paying the support living company for the service they're providing. Yeah. Even when you hear councils are bankrupt, they can't touch the social housing budget kind of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? They don't touch it because these people are vulnerable and they need to be cared for. So, so I guess that's And
like you said before, we now are looking at a lot of properties that we're getting supported living companies in, even before you purchase it. So it's like cash flow from day one. It's like buying a business from day one that's making money. Like that's better than any other. Because what you don't realize that when you do a buy to let, for example, we know how it goes. You get a buy to let, it might be empty for the first 3-4 weeks. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then someone's gonna leave after 7 months. Now it's empty for 2 months. Yeah. But this one's just straight from day one. You're making money. That covers all the bills. You got your profit. Even if it's not the maximum profit, at least you're making it's consistent for the next couple of years, and then you can transition. Yeah. And then for anyone that wants to get involved in other things, obviously we do a lot of deal sourcing. So for those that are interested in getting involved in deal sourcing, any young people that want to get involved in deal sourcing, we are literally we need more callers every day. You know, to reach. That's how much demand there is for some of the companies that we're working with. So we reach out and speak to a lot of different landlords. Yeah. But we need people to have those conversations, arrange the viewings with the supported living companies.
And you kind of share the profits with them.
Yeah. So you get commission for each deal that you close. So we started a couple months ago, but we had to kind of step back, get our systems right again. So a lot of our deals are actually direct to vendor as well. So that's something I didn't mention, but most of these landlords we're working with now are like direct to vendor, which makes it easier for the supported living company to negotiate, figure out something that makes sense for them. So basically, if you want to get involved in deal sourcing, then get in touch. You can help with that. And
syndicate as well. You want to talk about
and the syndicate as well. So syndicate is something that we're talking about. We're putting together in the background. Essentially, what it is just a private group of investors that are coming together to invest in deals. Initially, we want to get them started with just normal deals like buy to let deals, but then we'll start transitioning them into flips, offering some really good returns, and also then into developments, working with some of these supported living companies. So basically, what it means is that people can get involved in bigger projects. So instead of just having 30k and being like, I'm going to get a typical buy to let, you can get involved. You can maybe be one of 10 or 20 people get involved in a larger development that we'll be working on, and that way, you can get involved in a bigger project, bigger returns, and be part of a private group of like-minded people. So that's something that's going to be coming out probably May, June. I'll probably talk to our manager and see when that will be coming out. But that's what that is.
And I guess is there a waiting list at the moment, or is it still?
There's a waiting list. So if when this episode drops, we'll put the link in the bio on our link tree. Click on it, register your interest. You'll be sent an application form to join. So it's not anyone that can just join. We're looking for really, specific people to join. You don't need to be a millionaire or whatever, but it's just, you got to take it really seriously. You got to be on the same wavelength. We're looking to invest quite a lot over the next sort of 24 months, specifically into this developments and supported living, and also the flips as well. So if you're interested, get in touch. Cool. And we'll go from there.
So then more, man, let's wrap it up. It's been a good episode, and I guess till next time,
stay blessed.
Stay blessed, people. Peace.
Peace.